Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between Nub as the Wehrmacht. He's YouTube commenter told me the other day I pronounced that word wrong. I looked it up. I believe it's Wehrmacht. And maybe I'm overcompensating with that rolling W. In any case, his opponent today is going to be Markov666 as the British. So this is actually the second game today that I've cast of these two playing. They are grinding out that 1v1 ladder right now. Not uncommon to have those high-level players meet each other quite often on the ladder. And I won't, I guess I might spoil that game. So Markov666 won the last game. I think his opponent lost too many infantry in the mid-game, and Markov was able to come out on top. But I can already tell you that this game is different already. Markov666 has gone for the heavy armor battle group. So hopefully we'll get to see a Black Prince this game. But as far as the early game's concerned, I suspect we'll be seeing him go for that light vehicle refit, which means a dingo. I think he's going to have a dingo out here early. German player, opening very standard. One Pioneer into 2 Grenadiers. Suspect we'll probably see him add on a 3rd Grenadier. Sometimes folks will cut that 3rd Grenadier for a heavy machine gun. Both players, of course, going for their fuel here nice and early. No surprises there. It looks like we're going to see our first fight up top. Royal Engineers ought to win this fight. Bad pathing by that one model there. Taking a bunch of extra damage. British player chasing his opponent down, right? Doesn't want that squad to be allowed to stay on the map and capture territory. So nicely done by those Royal Engineers. Infantry section coming to hang out, and here's the dingo as well. Looks like both players are just going to trade halves of the map here. Royal Engineers throwing down sandbags. You know me, I love to say it. Build those field defenses, bend the map to your will. Whether that's landmines, sandbags, barbed wire, doesn't matter. Make your opponent's life more difficult. Make your life easier. German player has added on a 3rd Grenadier. And our British player's adding on a 2nd Infantry section. Suspect we'll see him go for at least one more. Grenadiers fighting these infantry section at max range. So pretty even fight there. Dingo gonna come help out. Grenadiers gonna give it up. So Royal Engineers down here picking up a flamethrower upgrade. Sticking around way longer than they should have. Potentially could lose them on the retreat here. Gonna be close. Nice pickup by our Grenadiers there. That was really big for our German player. Of course, our British player is far from out of this game, but that early pickup is really, really nice. German player just did the research for, what is that called? Infantry officers, yep. So he's vetted up all his squads to Veteran C1. And he's adding on a heavy machine gun next. Fight breaking out down here around this cutoff. Didn't get a chance to talk about this map. Map is, of course, Jebel Pass. I think this is a really cool map in terms of... So plenty of maps have cutoff points, and plenty of cutoff points on a variety of maps are available to your opponent. But the way that the cutoff points fit into the overall structure of this map makes it really interesting for players to try and steal them away from each other. And if I get a chance, I'll show you what I mean. but in summary, you can go around your opponent and capture their cutoff points. And you can also get some really interesting flanks and attack angles because of the way the map works out. Pioneer's gonna lose that fight there. Grenadiers probably can't stick around much longer, although I did just hear that heavy machine gun getting involved. Grenadiers down here fighting away that dingo. And the British player is going to give up this top side. We'll probably see him rotate down to the bottom. Neither player managing to pick up a fuel advantage. All things considered, our German has done a slightly better job of controlling the victory points this game. So he's built himself a nice little lead. German has added on a platoon command post. Excuse me. Sneeze came out of nowhere. Adding on his first armored car. Now, I happen to know, not just from last game, but in general, Markov likes to add multiple armored cars. We'll see if he wants to do that this game. I think it's, I think his reasoning is he can get these armored cars out early. He can get a lot done with them. And then he can replace them later with the withdrawal, right? Getting a refund on those vehicles, and then he can convert that into medium tanks. So we did see Markov also add on an additional infantry section there. Nub is going up to the Luftwaffe company now. Oh, Panzergrenadier company, okay. So, probably going to see him add on a Pack 40. I think this is a pretty good map for it. Nice wide open angles. You're relatively safe to hang out here, nearer to your base, and you're going to be able to rotate to where the light vehicles are coming from. First player going to claim this bottom side. Armored car poking around up top here. This house is so sketchy because it starts out with like 5 health. Both players kind of in a standoff right now. Looks like he's going to get a Panzerfaust there, damaging that armor car. Going to have to back off. Have a machine gun pepper in, keeping him in his base there. Looks like he's rotating over a large section of his army to maybe deal with this heavy machine gun. Adding on an AT gun now is our British player. Our German player has already done that. British player sensing that maybe his opponent has gotten a little bit ahead on fuel and anticipating a vehicle. And by the way, I would definitely recommend to anyone watching that this is about the right time to add on an AT gun. I know that our German does not have any vehicles yet, but this is a very common timing for something like a Whirlwind Flak Panzer, right? And I guess I'm a little bit early on that assessment, but it's just around the corner, and our British player's anticipating that. So, German player has locked in the breakthrough battle group, immediately picking up the mechanized assault group, and then calling it in, giving him access to those trooping squads right away. Where's that vehicle going? Looks like it's coming along that top side now, right here. AT gun set up from our German player. Probably not going to get a second shot there. Sitting at max range. Doing a little scouting with his AT gun is our British player there. And infantry section is going to push off these units. Trooping are on the scene though. Dealing huge damage to that infantry section. At long range there. Pioneer is going to be able to push away the infantry section once they're in cover. So, Grenadiers with the assault package upgrade. Looking like they want to get involved. Smoke grenades coming out from our armored car, and there's the second armored car from our British player in the build queue now. Troopin continuing to shred this infantry. Looks like he's focusing that AT gun. Stummel upgrade on that half-track, allowing him to barrage those units. Wiping the AT gun there. AT gun from the German player moving in to get a shot on the scout car. Oh, he's going to destroy the AT gun. Engineers ought to put a stop to that. Very risky capture, though. Oh, and he picked it up and then lost the squad. Wow. And is also going to lose the AT gun from the looks of it. Oh, infantry section coming in to capture. Stummel going to go down to this armored car here. AT gun setting up, not getting a good angle. Second armored car here to save the day. AT gun is going to get a good shot there on the armored car, but no infantry to quite capitalize. Is going to choose to save his armored car there. That was a crazy little fight. That was a crazy little fight. Armored car living on what, 5 health? Yeah, 19 health there. Basically nothing. All things considered, don't think that was a bad trade for either player. Did cost our British player that Royal Engineer, and of course our German player did lose his Stummel, and you could argue that that was a bigger investment. But I think the true power of this mechanized assault group call-in is the fact that it gives you access to these Stoßtruppen at such an early time. I mean, he literally had it at like 10 minutes, and it costs you only 20 fuel, and that's huge, right? I mean, the Truppen are just so powerful. Especially, I mean, they're already Veteran C1, so these things are going to get real scary. They're going to be really hard to remove off of an area. Love this build. So I first saw it from a player named Swan, I think. And he actually went for 2 Stummels, which was kind of cool to see. And I know our German player isn't going for that, but that Swan's game showed me the power of Truppen at an early stage. So, and this probably isn't news to some of you watching, but it was news to me, and I loved seeing it. So, armored cars patrolling around, throwing out a mark area, going to make it easier to hit units in that area. Looks like he was intentionally hunting those Truppen. Must have seen them, would imagine. But our German does have decent control of the fuel here. Armored cars getting aggressive, diving into his opponent's base here. Marking his opponent, going to wipe that Grenadier squad. Nice pickup by those armored cars. And infantry going to have to hide way back in the base here. AT gun ought to be on the way. Here it is.
We're down to 200 points.
And those armored cars are going to retreat before the before the AT gun gets here. So nicely done by our British player there. Map blinking red. Just a little bit here. Both players going to end up with the same amount of territory here at the end. German continuing to control the victory points. Our British player really needs to start focusing those points down. He's been very aggressive, and that was a nice little squad wipe for him, but needs to be actively thinking about those victory points, or he's going to be hurting here.
Anti-tank weapon and crew on the field.
Big push by our German here, going to push away these armored cars. Presumably the AT gun is in support. There it is. Does have camouflage on that AT gun. His opponent won't be able to see him, but until it's too late. Of course, that does reduce its movement speed. I wonder if that's not enough to one-tap. Yeah, it's not. Nice hit, though. Gonna make those armored cars move off here. I think it's a good decision for our German player to try and target this middle victory point, potentially. Mines there being disabled. Whose mines are, though? I think those are German mines. Oh, yeah, they are. Duh. It says right here. Also, the name Shu might be a little bit of a giveaway. German player is adding on a Panzer IV now, so the reign of these armored cars is well and truly over. At least in how aggressive they're being, because our German player is going to have to contend with 2 AT guns from his opponent. Don't think our German player knows about the AT guns. Well, he knows about one of them, but I don't think he knows about the other one. And have to be a little bit cautious there. British player also adding on these mortars here, giving him access to some indirect fire, which is going to be good for dealing with his opponent's team weapons. Panzer IV trolling around. Armored cars nearby. Wonder if our German just intentionally destroyed that barrier there. Kind of felt intentional, but not sure if it was. And again, German just focusing those victory points, recognizing his... I think he has a composition advantage right now, and I think he's capitalizing on that and trying to bleed his opponent for as many of his victory points as he can. Panzer IV getting picked away at by those AT guns, gonna back off. Mortar dealing with these grenadiers here in the middle. Heavy machine gun now facing the brunt of the mortar. Grenadier's gonna hold this point down so that his opponent can't capture. Nicely done. AT gun ready just in case. Armored cars are on that bottom side. Mine doing something. Where was that? Dang it. I don't know where that mine happened. Sad day. In any case, German player really focused on this center point. I think that's a smart idea. The reason I think it's so good is because he can rotate off of this center and pick up any of these side points here. Respond to his opponent's movements, right? His opponent doesn't have super high mobility with these AT guns. Looks like our British player is going to commit to this bottom side. AT gun getting a shot on that armored car there. Oh, and catching another one there. Nicely done. I think he may have attacked ground there because I don't think he had vision. But it was a beautiful shot there, cleaning out that high veterancy armored car. AT guns picking away at this Panzer IV, going to advance here. Try and stop the Panzer IV from removing these Royal Engineers. AT guns just out of range there, that's okay for him. Grenadier squad using the sprint ability, going to close with these Royal Engineers. Probably not going to get them on the retreat, but is going to capture that point. German continuing to control 2 of the victory points. He's looking really solid here. Now, our British player did call in the recon artillery while that was happening to sort of make it difficult for his opponent to rotate down. Did force the AT gun away and enabled those armored cars to get aggressive, but fortunately for him, losing the armored car on the retreat. So I suspect we're going to see our German add on another Panzer IV here. Instead opting for a Panzer III. Oh, Sturmpanzer. Yeah, I'm not watching Afrika Korps, I'm watching Wehrmacht. So he is going to add that Sturmpanzer on to deal with the significant amount of infantry he's dealing with. Looks like he's also going to have that. That's going to help him with those AT guns, of course, because that Sturmpanzer has tremendous front armor there. Mortar barrage, pushing away the heavy machine gun. German player still managing to control 2 of the victory points and going to stop this capture from happening at the last possible second. Nicely done there. Armored car is going to come have a say about that. AT gun is going to cover the armored car. And British player is going to take that point, hiding away with this group in there. Another artillery barrage here in the middle, going to drive this Sturmpanzer back. much does that cost? 150? That is really expensive. I think that we'll probably see him use it one more time, but that's going to be the end of it. Panzer IV up top. And, you know, I was a little surprised to see our German player, excuse me, our British player add on another armored car here, especially in the face of Panzer IV. Might pick up these Truppen, though. That would be really big for him. Looks like he's going to get aggressive with both of his AT guns. Just narrowly avoiding the shoe mine here, and he is going to get that Truppen just barely on the retreat there, marking the Panzer IV, which is actually very low health. AT guns supporting. And nice little maneuvers coming out from our British player here. He's really put himself... He's really managed to stop the bleeding, at least in the short term. Been very aggressive with his units, despite the theoretical overwhelming firepower of his opponent. Sturmpanzer doing its job here, bouncing shells from those AT guns, covering this assault. Royal Engineers diving on the point to keep it as long as possible. Heavy machine gun going to force them back. And the Germans going to full retreat here. There is not a British squad nearby to deal with it, because they are all coming to this bottom side. Big angry force there. Not encountering any resistance, so rotating north with his infantry squad. Sturmpanzer still in the area. Mark coming out from these armored cars going to jeopardize the health of that heavy machine gun. AT gun still nearby. British AT guns rolling in. Looks like they want to help capture that point there. And once again, British player having to spend all of his energy on capturing the victory points. But so far, so good. AT guns setting up here. Another artillery barrage. Who's that from this time? Grenadiers moving in. Big hit from the AT gun there. Gonna force those armored cars back. And yeah, well done by our British player capturing all 3 of the victory points. Got a second Panzer IV on the field here to support these high veterancy Truppen. Both Panzers helping out with this push. Sturmpanzer not quite in the fight just yet. AT guns ought to be moving in from our British player. I can see him coming in from the top there. And there's the artillery barrage, what's that called? Recon artillery coming out from our British player. Gonna force everybody out of this area. Panzer IV pathing back through. AT guns getting some side armor shots here. Might get one more, not quite. Sturmpanzer actually getting a flank on these AT guns. That's gonna be nice for him if he can get some shots here. He's gonna have an angle. Nice hit. Panzer IV is getting aggressive, looking like they want to chase these AT guns down. Is going to pick up one. There are infantry sections here. But that is a lot of armor. British player adding on a second AT gun immediately. And I love the Sturmpanzer, man. Just big chunky damage. Armored cars being obnoxious as they can possibly be. This is very cool to see our British player using these late game armored cars there. Like, it's not something you see very often, and he's not only is he keeping them alive, he's getting use out of them, and I think that's really cool. Sturmpanzer chasing down that AT gun, taking fire from the side there. Panzer IV is killing everything in sight, it seems. And British players still managing to hold on to 2 victory points here. Probably a dead armored car. Nice pickup for a German there. And yeah. Looking really, really good for our German right at this second. Unfortunately for a British player, I mean, he has 1.5 million fuel. But he does not have any manpower. And so he can't get active with any sort of vehicles right now. That's really holding him back. I mean, he's doing the best he can with all these infantry. He's even added on boys' rifles to some of these infantry sections so that he can deal with the tanks a little more effectively. Bouncing shells right off the front of that Sturmpanzer. German player catching both the bottom and the top side here. Tiger heavy tank is available to our German. He's a ways off in terms of fuel, so we probably won't see that, at least not for a while. German player seemingly willing to give up this capture point. British player very committed to this bottom side. Going to hang out right here to stop any counterattacks from coming in. Looks like the German's going to be unfazed there. Grenade's not connecting, trying to slow this capture down. German player is going to rotate into the middle to pick up that point there. Panzer IV staring down the teeth of these AT guns, is going to quickly kill one, probably going to kill the other. Did focus down the AT gun so his opponent couldn't reman it. No real surprise there. This is a dead AT gun. And nice pickup there. Infantry section immediately remounting. AT gun focusing the wrong Panzer there, unfortunately for a British player. So this first Panzer IV is going to survive. Remounting again, and there's the surrender from Markov666. So yeah, that was a cool little game there. Well played by both players. It was really fun to see those late game active armored cars there. German just did a really, really good job of controlling the victory points. And our British player, despite feeling like he had a composition advantage going into the mid-game, really struggled to keep up with that medium armor. And being behind on victory points made his the decisions he had in front of them pretty narrow. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.